Greetings, eaters. I am the Obesity Sherpa. Welcome to my kitchen in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, I want to go ahead and teach you how to make a great favorite home cooking comfort food classic that I learned from my Aunt Carol. But before we do that, I have been reminded that I promised restaurant recommendations and I've not been doing that so much lately. So I'm going to try and do one for every single video. So today I'm going to do it right away just to make sure I do it. Today I recommend to you Sarge's Deli in New York. Everyone will say that Katz is the better deli. It is not. And take that for the subjective observation that it is. The best Jewish deli in New York is Sarge's Deli in Manhattan. If you want to go try Katz, do it. They're great, but Sarge's is better. My daughter and I were in New York a few years ago, and she got a turkey bacon club sandwich, and half of it was about the size of her foot. We got a picture of her with her foot next to it. Today, we are going to make hamburger gravy. When I was 14, my mom and her sister took off and went to Europe for a month, and I was shipped off to Utah to work at the Family Garden Center in Bountiful, and I lived with my Aunt Carol and Uncle Bob. And I love my Aunt Carol and Uncle Bob. My Uncle Bob is no longer with us. My Aunt Carol is, she still is. She's one of my last aunts still standing. But she said that she needed to buy a cow to keep me enough milk to keep me fed. But she taught me some great stuff, and I love her very much. One of those things was hamburger gravy. And I kind of got the basics watching her. When I went home, when I got back home, I told my mom all about it, and she figured out how to make it and then taught me how to make it. And it was a favorite in my house growing up. If you're Canadian and you want to make poutine, this will make you some really good poutine. I mean, if you're going to have poutine is basically fries, gravy, and cheese curds. And if you make the gravy with hamburger in it, you've kicked it up an extra notch or three. What we've got here, I pulled 2 pounds of ground beef out of my freezer. So what we're going to do is we're going to brown this ground beef in a skillet. We're going to combine it with some flour, and we've got some beef bouillon cubes. We'll add a little bit of granulated onion. You can use fresh onion if you like, but we're trying to do this as a quick fix thing. And then a little bit of sriracha, because you got to have sriracha. And then we add a little bit of butter to help make the gravy roux. So this is a nice quick meal. You can have it on the table in under half an hour most of the time. And I mean, that's without that much prep time. A lot of it is just simmering and waiting for the rice to cook. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get started, of course, we must look at shoes, as is customary. Okay, today I'm wearing Chinooks again. I've got a lot of them. These ones are green. If you haven't tried Chinooks, recommend them highly. Okay, so what we're going to do first off is we're going to throw in our butter. And we're going to use about half a cube of it. This is just to add some flavor and help make the roux. Now that the butter is mostly melted, I'm going to throw in some ground beef. Like I said, about 2 pounds. I'm using 80-20. I mean, you can use 70-30 or 90-10 or whatever. 80-20 is usually the best. You get the best flavor from it. It's not too lean, it's not too fatty, just right. So I melted the butter on high heat. I'm going to turn it down to just a little above medium. And then we want to break this ground beef up good. And we're going to just put a little bit of salt in there. Salt it a little bit. This is kosher salt. You can use sea salt, regular salt, whatever kind of salt you like. But just a little bit. I probably did about maybe a little less than a teaspoon there, maybe around a teaspoon. And we're going to dust it with a little bit of granulated onion as well. There you go. I had granulated garlic. Had to go find my onion. Got them mixed up. They look similar. All right. You just want a little bit, not too much. Now that we have browned it, we move on to the next step, which is the flour. So normally you'd make your roux separate with just the juice, but this is an easy way to do this since we're doing hamburger gravy. What you want to do is just sprinkle there, and there's not a specific amount, just sprinkle it over the top. Try to get all of the meat, get some on all of the meat. So that there was about half a cup. I'm going to do just a tiny bit more. Make sure we get good coverage here. For 2 pounds of ground beef, I've got 7 bouillon cubes, which is 7 teaspoons of beef soup base. If you're scaling this, 1 pound, obviously use less, so use about 4, 3.5, 4. I'm going to dump that in there on top of the flour, and then we're going to coat all of the meat with the butter and the juice from the meat with the flour. This really is a very simple recipe here. So just to recap, so far we've browned some ground beef, we've added a little salt, a little granulated onion, a little more than half a cup of flour, and now we're just going to let it just kind of cook for a second with the flour coating on it, and then mix it again, and then we're going to add water to turn it into gravy. And a little sriracha, because we love sriracha. And by we, I mean me, and by me, I mean you all should. The flour has combined with the melted butter and the drippings from the ground beef. So now we're going to put in, I'm going to say probably about a pint to start with of water. I'm going to turn the heat up to high, and I'm going to add a little of the magic sauce, the rooster sauce. Not too much, just a little bit. You don't want it to be hot, you just want it to taste good. We're going to add some more water because it's starting to thicken. Okay, so we can turn the heat down a little bit. We're going to add some more water. So we're up to around a quart of water now. Zoom in here so you can kind of see it. And what's going to happen is once I've got the gravy to about where I want it thickness wise, which you kind of do, you eyeball it. I mean, you should be good here. We put enough seasoning into it that the flavor is going to be good. I mean, I know that's right about for the right amount of seasoning that I want for the thickness I'm going to make the gravy. So once we've hit the right consistency with the gravy, you can see there we're getting pretty close. We're going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. So simmered it for about 10-12 minutes and added a little more water because the water does start to evaporate as it steams. But we are ready to go. So before we plate it up though, I just wanted to send a shout out to my daughter Morgan and her husband Derek, who sent me this sweet apron. They designed a logo for me and everything. Hey, someday there will be merch, and maybe this will be part of it. But in any case, I have 3 daughters and a wife who are not particularly overjoyed with my old ratty barbecue aprons that I wear when I do this. So they made one for me to wear, and it's pretty sweet, right? I mean, I like the logo. I could work with this. So, all right. So this is done. So I've put some rice on a plate. I steamed it. I'm not going to teach you how to steam rice. Gravy's done. You can kind of see it's not, it's not super thick. Depends on how you like it. But we're just going to cover the rice in it. Or if you were having poutine, you would cover your french fries in it, and your french fries and cheese curds in it, which is, again, delicious. You could probably put cheese curds in this if you wanted to. I kind of do want to, but I don't need all those extra calories today. And this is a good sized plate. So there you go. So altogether prep time on this, under half an hour. The rice probably took about half an hour to steam. I got it going beforehand. But quick meal for your family. Serve it with a salad, serve it with some fruit, serve it with whatever you like. I've got some watermelon I'm probably going to eat with it because it's summer and I love watermelon. But that's it for this edition of the Obesity Sherpa Presents. Apologize to our guest, Jimmy Kimmel. We did not have time for him again this week. Someday we'll learn how to make his famous squirrel pie, but it's not going to be this week. Please like and follow us on all the usual social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn and Tumblr and those as well. I think we're on Rumble. So I'm trying to be out there. Please share this with your friends. And until next time, thanks for joining us and keep on eating.